Good evening, friends and family, and thank you for coming to another night with Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities Behind Black Business. And again, we have another wonderful guest for you tonight, Jurema Gorham, who
Mhm.
is the executive director and founder of Burst Into Books. And this is another bookstore, and it's more than a bookstore in our
Mhm.
community because she has so many things going on, and I'm so excited to talk about what's going on at this establishment situated in Roseland, right
Yes.
here in the Chicago area. So, Jurema, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day, your busy schedule to be with us tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you for reaching out. I'm excited to talk.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, and as you know, we're a nonprofit organization, and we started to enhance the awareness and support of Black businesses because we have to circulate dollars in our community. And the best way to do that is to support our Black businesses. Why? Because our Black businesses are more likely to support our causes, hire people from the community, spend money back into the community, give entrepreneurial opportunities for people in the community. And so you just by nature can't help but circulate that dollar. So it's very important that we support our Black businesses. And you ask yourself every day, did I support a Black business today? That's very important. There was a time when we didn't have we didn't have an opportunity to do anything different. That's just the way it was, but it worked for us. And a lot of people feel like when we integrated, we lost our connections. And we
Mhm.
have so many people out here doing so many wonderful things like Jurema, and we have so many Black businesses out here, and we've got to start connecting. That's what needs to happen. So here at Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities, we bring a business to you every week on our podcast, or we have a discussion about some issues that are going on that are impactful to our community and especially our businesses here. And we also support our Black bookstores. Our Black bookstores are very important, that knowledge, that history of knowing who we are, where we have come from, and all of the wonderful authors that we have out here that have given us so much information. It's just very important. Jurema, I say this every week because we used to have 22 Black bookstores here in Chicago, and it had dwindled down to almost two. But as I see, there is a resurgence of Black books stores in the community, which means people are reading,
Yes.
contrary to what a lot of people might think. And so we support our bookstores. We feature a Black bookstore on our website every month. And this month has been the Book Joint, located at 6900 South Stony Island. And the Book Joint, they also do a lot of good work in the community. This is their new location. They have artwork, they have candles, they have t-shirts, sweatshirts, and all types of activities going on there. And so we want you to support the Book Joint. You can go to their website where you can purchase books at thebookjoint.com. And we go a little step further. We give a book away every month.
Mhm.
And so the book that was chosen, we selected it from the Book Joint's website, How Black History Can Save Your Life.
Yeah.
And this is a very good read. This author talks about being the victim of a hate crime and how they turn to reading to help them de escalate and process what was going on with them. So, in this book, they promise everything you need to know to do to de escalate a racist situation.
Mhm.
So, if you want to become a winner of this book, all you have to do is go to rrgbc.org and subscribe. That's it. and we pay for the book and we pay for the shipping. All we ask is that you read the book and share the knowledge and do something about what you are reading. So, also, we support the Southside Community Federal Credit Union. We have a financial institution in our community that has been working on the South Side for over 20 years to help secure loans and provide financial literacy to people in the community. And the Southside Community Federal Credit Union has increased their products. So they have micro business loans, they have personal loans, instead of going to these payday loan stores and paying all of these high
Mm.
interest payments that you're getting into a lot of debt with that sometimes you can't even get out of because the interest is so high, they've got some options for you. And they're not just interested in you coming in there and getting a loan, they are interested in you and your financial welfare.
Mm.
So the Southside Community Federal Credit Union is located at 55th and Wentworth. They're in the shopping mall, all the way at the rear, and we ask that you support them. In order for a financial institution, a banking institution, a credit union to function, they need you to open up accounts. So please consider opening up an account at the Southside Community Federal Credit Union. And I do want to come back to the bookstores because we still have our policy that we're working on to try and help our bookstores. We feel that our schools, our libraries should be giving contracts to our local bookstores. And that's something I may want to talk to you about at some point, Jurema, because they are doing this in other municipalities. So it's not something that is unheard of. So we're asking you to go to Save Black Bookstores Chicago at change.org and sign our petition. We're trying to get at least 1,000 signatures because this is something that needs to happen. Our bookstores have a lot of wonderful books that, and our teachers, they get a budget every year where they could be spending money on books, and many of our bookstores do have VIN numbers. And so this is not a problem. It's just something that needs to happen. And so that is another thing that we're working on. And so we're asking you to go to our website and subscribe to the book giveaway. If you become a subscriber, we ask you to go to our website where you can make donations or make a purchase to also help the work that we are doing. Okay? All right, so let's get to our guest tonight, Jurema Gorham. This bookstore is a hub for creativity, connections, and community. And when you go on the website, which is www.bibarts.org, and see all of the programs, all of the events that they have going on, this is almost an understatement. And you're just doing some really wonderful things.
Thank you.
And Burst Into Books is located at 119 East 107th Street. Their hours are Tuesday through Friday, 11 to 6 p.m., and Saturdays, 10 to 5. All of that correct, Jurema?
It is correct.
Okay, all right. So, how long has Burst Into Books been at this location, which is situated in Roseland, as I mentioned earlier?
Yes. So, funny story. So, Burst Into Books, I started with the nonprofit. So, the nonprofit started back in 2018.
Okay.
And it started in the Pullman Roseland neighborhood because I am by trade a teacher. So, I taught for a number of years, and I just started doing this full time in 2021. So, I started teaching in Pullman, and so I was doing a lot of the work out of the school that I was working in. And then we were in a partnership with a family friend, and we bought our first building on 110th in Michigan. And that's where I did a lot of the community work that we were doing as far as like the book giveaways, the community events. We used to have a farmer's market. And due to some just different changes, that just didn't become like the best location for what we were doing. And so we've been in this current space, 119 East 107, since last July. We were awarded a storefront grant through the city, and so we were able to open the space, which I was really excited about because I've always wanted to do a community hub, and literacy is, I believe, a connector. And so definitely I knew we would be selling books, but as you stated, we do so much more than just a bookstore. So I wanted to at least, definitely have access to books, but also create a space for the work that we do and other organizations.
Okay, so you didn't start out as a bookstore.
No, no, we started.
What was your
Um,
nonprofit
yeah,
that you?
our nonprofit is Burst Into Books, and
Okay,
so and we're still running in local and doing it, and even the bookstore is a nonprofit. So we
okay,
generate and use the funding to go back into our programs and to our community work, and so this is just an extension of the work I've been doing for the last 6 7 years.
okay. And
Mhm.
what inspired you to do this?
The initial inspiration comes from being a mother, Denise,
Mm-hmm.
and just my son. I have a 13-year-old now.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started Burst Into Books, I was teaching and all of that. But I just wanted to find programs that he would see himself, right? Like
Sure, sure.
I know the importance of raising like a young Black boy, and I knew the importance of literacy, of course, because I grew up loving reading and being, and you see in the classroom just all the benefits of reading. Reading is way beyond just being able to pronounce the words and spell, just your perspective, your conversations, your way you can connect things in the world. You travel without leaving your home. Like I just knew
Absolutely.
all the benefits of it, but
Mm-hmm.
all the more is it important when you see yourself. And so when I had my son, I was looking for literacy programs that did all of the skill base, but I wanted him to see like Black authors and like read books
Okay.
that looked like him and himself on the cover. And it was just really hard to find that. This is back in like 2016, 2017. And
Wow.
so, um, and it really just came from a conversation with some of his other friends' moms. And we were just at the park one day and someone
Mm-hmm.
just mentioned a book club. And I said,
Okay.
I think that might actually be cool. And then I started thinking more and more about it. And so it really started from a book club. Just like, what happened if we started a
Okay.
book club where all the books that the children read were written by Black authors? And that was like the seed that planted and became what we are today.
So this was a book club for the children
Yeah,
that
so we
read.
started in 2018 with book clubs. My principal let me use the school, and in the
Mm-hmm.
classrooms, I had different
Mm-hmm.
grade levels, and we every book was written by Black authors. We partnered with a lot of local Black authors because at each book club we had an author come because I wanted the
Mm-hmm.
kids to see like you can be this yourself, right?
Sure,
It's one
sure.
thing to read it; it's another thing to meet someone who's done it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, ever since day one, I have always highlighted the importance of Black storytelling. So it started in book clubs, and then the book club turned into events, and the events turned into partnerships, and the partnerships turned into all the other things that we're doing now. So even the bookstore, when people come, it's very much so representative of what we've been doing since day one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think this kind of addresses the conversation that our children, are so into the internet that they're not interested in reading,
And it's
and
not true.
it's
I
not
mean,
true.
it's just not true. I mean,
Yeah, speak to that.
are they into technology? Yes. I have a 13-year-old teenager, right? So he loves his phone, he loves his iPad, he loves all those things. But
Hmm.
nothing replaces being able to look at a book, right? Being
Hmm.
able to read a book, being able to see just the world in a different way, right? And a lot of times I tell parents and I talk to schools and I'm like, use that technology as a tool to lead them to the book, right? So whatever they're into, whatever they're interested in, like how do we use that as like the catalyst that gets them the first book that they pick? So when we have kids that come into our bookstore, there is no child that leaves here like, oh my gosh, let's get out of here, right? They're
Oh,
like
wow.
enthralled. I mean, because they're able to see that not only are the books in poetry or all the different types of books that's out there. I think that's the thing too. You just got to give kids access to all the different types of books that's
There you go.
available to them.
That's the key. They
Yep.
need access to
Yep.
books. They need access to so many other things because there's so many other experiences out here that they can have, even vocational wise, that they don't
Yep.
even know that there's
Yep.
certain jobs out here. You know, you have to kind of be in certain communities, and around certain people to find out all of this information.
Yep. And then I think that's the thing too, because even when people come to our bookstore and one, they're like, oh, you're in Roseland, right? Like, did you grow up in Roseland? Like, what made you choose Roseland? Because if you're familiar with Chicago and just the lack of investments in communities, Roseland is definitely one that
Yes,
has been neglected, right?
yes.
But I also believe it's such a beautiful community, right? Usually, a lot of the communities in Chicago that are not getting attention have such a rich history. And so
Hmm.
for me, I didn't grow up in Roseland. I grew up in Auburn Gresham, but I went to
Okay.
school in Morgan Park. I taught in Roseland and Pullman. And so I just understand the importance of like giving back to community and understanding the relationships of community. I've been blessed because I taught in Pullman to know a number of kids and families that
Mhm.
grow up in this neighborhood. So when we started it, it just felt like the perfect space to start, right? Um, and so I just think ultimately it's just important not only to know that kids in our neighborhoods are not reading because they don't want to, they just haven't been afforded the resources or the access, and just being able to have the opportunity to see multiple books. A kid is not going to walk away without one, right? A child is
Right.
not going to turn away. They just haven't had the opportunity, like you said, to just have your to the end of the rainbow, pick any type of book that you want, right?
That's right.
They don't even know that certain books are even existing for them.
And like you said, books can take you places,
Yes, they
and
do.
it can also help you to see your relationship in terms of where you are in the world.
Yep. And then that
You
goes
know,
back to why there's such a big push against ban books, right? And such a big push against not having these stories told. Because to your point, even when I taught, like I was a science teacher, I was not an English teacher.
mhm,
However, I understood the importance of my Black students knowing that there were Black doctors and physicists
mhm.
and all these different chemical engineers. You need to see that you are a part of these different industries and that you
That's
are a
right.
part of the discoveries. Because a lot of times you could be reading a story and thinking it's outside of you, like it's not accessible to me. It's not something that my family could do. It's not something that I've ever done. And if you don't tell them their history or tell them their stories, they don't even know that we were the creators, right? We're the
Right.
creators of these
Absolutely.
of the mathematical equations and all the
That's
different
right.
art forms and music. And so it's something about knowing that someone who looks like you did a thing, because it allows you to think that, man, if
Mhm.
they could do it, I could do it,
That's right.
right? And it doesn't seem so far fetched. And so that's why I believe it's so why it's such a big push to not allow those narratives to be shared, because
That's right.
then you have a limited belief of what you could actually do in life. And I think that that's why books are so powerful, because I
Hmm.
don't necessarily need all the money in the world, but if I read it and see it, I can't unsee it, I can't unread it, right? I
That's
know that it's
right.
possible. So if it's possible for them, it got to be possible for me too.
That's right. That's right. And it's also important for other people who come here from other countries
Mhm.
uh, to understand and get the truth and the knowledge about who we are in this
Yeah.
country, because a lot of people are given other thoughts, and beliefs about us. And I've listened to other podcasts and I've heard people who felt like we didn't make any contributions.
Hmm.
Their conversation was the white man did this, the white man made this way. And this man started running down to them, wait a minute,
Yep.
Black people made contributions in these various industries.
Yep.
And he had to give examples,
Hmm.
you know. And so it's ignorance, you
It is.
know. Yes.
It's
And that's why
ignorance,
it's
and
important.
it's ignorance, and it's also like where you even afford the opportunity to learn that about another person, right? Because I think about, they talk about how books are mirrors and windows, right? So they allow you to see yourself, but it also allows you to look out into the world and see something outside of yourself. And so I think about my dad, for example. He grew up in Tennessee, right? So we go to Tennessee every summer, and a lot of times when you go to where my family grew up, a lot of people stay there. That's what they know. That's what they're used to. It's what they've been around. And so, how else would they learn about the big city or learn about other areas if they never left where they are? The only narrative that they know is what someone's told them or what they maybe saw on TV or if they met somebody. But there's so many other stories. There's so many different variations of who we are as a people, but I don't know that because I've never left this town, right? And I feel
Okay.
like that's a lot of the same thing as we're talking about when it comes to cultures and race and
Yeah,
religions and all the things. If I've never had an experience to see and meet someone that's outside of myself, I'm only going to believe what I've been told. And so that's why books are powerful as well, because it gives me a window into a world that maybe I don't have the money to travel to Europe, but I can learn about their culture. I can learn, and they can learn about me if they picked up James Baldwin or Zora Neale Hurston, right? They're going to learn some more stuff about me that
that's
they
right.
wouldn't have had an opportunity to do because they've never come to the rural South. So I think it's just important that we understand that reading is so beyond being able to write a great paper. It allows you to understand humanity in its entirety, right?
That's right. That's right. And the black bookstores are important because you're going to get that information from our
Yep.
side,
Yeah.
our stories, our opportunity to tell our stories. And so that's why that's so important. So what kind of books are, I know I've talked to some bookstore owners, and they make a distinction between maybe what women are reading and what men are reading. And then we have those books that children are reading. What are they reading? What are they gravitating towards as far as type topics?
You know what's interesting? So we just had Independent Bookstore Day on Saturday, and so we got to meet quite a few folks. And what's really interesting is that a lot of people are looking for like nonfiction, like historical fiction stories, like stories
Mm-hmm.
that may be a little fictitious, but is rooted in history. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that that is very telling because I feel like people are in a space of wanting to learn. They want to
Yes.
understand and go deeper. And
Yes.
so, one of the books, for instance, that we sold out of this past week is called The Barn. And The Barn is a book that highlights the story of what happened to Emmett Till. And
Okay.
so it goes into the idea of like what happened in this barn, right? Like where he was actually the beginning of the torture he endured that led to his death. And so I think books like that are very powerful because again, it allows you to take another perspective of what happened in that instance. I mean, we have those types of historical fiction books from all ages. We have it for youth, everything from Stamped to Barracoon. That's a Zora Neale Hurston book. We have an adaptation version of that for like young readers.
Mm-hmm.
I just talked about The Barn. We also have a book called Black Text that talks about redlining. We have a book called The Green Book that talks about, all the different Black businesses and where you could and could not go. And also, I think just even the beauty of sci-fi, like Octavia Butler, right? Like all these different
Okay.
great writers. And so I think for many people, they're like, man, I want to be taken away, but I want to be taken away in a way that is still rooted in truth. And so
Yes.
that has been, I think, a very pleasant surprise. A lot of folks come in looking for history, but
Mm-hmm.
history not necessarily in a history class type version, way of learning.
Right. I visited a plantation in Louisiana last
Mm,
summer. I was in Biloxi, Mississippi,
okay.
and it was, the slave quarters were there. A lot of artifacts were still there, and there was a lady that was there telling the stories about what happened. And they actually would tell some of the stories from the perspective of the children in terms of what happened. But you figure a book that would narrate and go into detail, and then just depending on the author and how creative the author, the style of the author, and how they
Yeah.
write, could just take you into an even more deeper experience than just my having been there.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
shows how powerful books are.
And I love how you just said it even from the youth perspective, because I speak about that a lot. One of my good friends, she introduced me to this saying, and it's a proverb or a greeting in the Maasai tribe, I believe, Masai tribe.
Yes, yes, yes.
And it talks a lot about the way they greet each other is like, how are the children? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that has always resonated with me, because even when I was a teacher in the classroom or doing work in the community, you cannot badmouth kids around me. Like, I just don't accept that, because children are byproducts. They are
Sure.
receivers of spaces. Even when we talk now about, like, in our communities, like what's going on with the teens, what's going on with that, these are responses to situations in home life and communities and lack of opportunities that they've been afforded. And children are
Mm-hmm.
going to respond in a way to say, listen to me, look at me, right?
That's
Like, I'm
right.
trying to tell you. And so when you don't have that much agency or money or power, there's no way that we can be like victimizing the victims, right? And so I think a lot of times when we're looking for truth
Mm-hmm.
you can get from a child,
That's
right?
right.
Because
That's
they
right.
don't have the filter, right? It's so funny. I remember when I was teaching kindergarten, because they don't know any different. I remember one of the child was like, "Yeah, my mama did my homework," right? Like, they they thinking that's what we supposed to do, mama. And the mama looking at the child like, "Why would you say that?" But they don't know to lie, right? They
Right.
don't know that that wasn't a good thing to do, because that's just what was the situation. So when we're looking at teens and talking to children, and they start speaking truth,
That's
I think
right.
we as adults just don't want to hear it, because it's really talking about what we are not doing or
That's
what we
right.
haven't done or how we have not served them right, right? And so it's a lack of accountability, because we're like, stop telling the truth.
That's
Stop
right.
showing the truth. Stop showing that I'm not involved. Stop showing
We
that,
we we have so many deceptions. We have so
so
many
many
deceptions
deceptions about
around
like
us.
why things are the way they are. Like, you got to take ownership of the part you played, right? And
That's
so
right.
I think that that's just telling what you said, like a child's perspective of like the institution of slavery. I bet it's so powerful, because you're looking at it with clear and innocent eyes,
That's right.
but it's really going to be telling of the people and the adults in that space.
That's right. That's
Mm.
right. What about special needs children? Um, I can't remember her name now, but I did have a guest on our show. Her son is autistic,
Mm-hmm.
and she started writing books for
Mm-hmm.
him.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually started a little bookstore in her
Mm-hmm.
house. Um, and what about the special needs children?
I love it. So in our program, because we work so many families and schools, I've been able to build great relationships with families of children with special needs. We actually
Sure.
have a book club that's ran here at this bookstore by a mom who has a son who's autistic, who's now
Mm-hmm.
in his 20s. But she wanted to start this book club as a safe space, right, for
Mm-hmm.
families and for parents, because especially because her son was older, and she knew what it was
Okay.
like when she first heard her child had autism, and trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out school systems and therapy and extracurriculars. And he was nonverbal at first. And it has been really beautiful to have this book club led by a mom who is
Mm-hmm.
experiencing this, and like bringing other parents together. And that happens actually tomorrow. It happens every first Friday of the month, and we're going on almost a year of that program. And so the same is true. those children, those families have stories that need to be told, and 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 and
Absolutely.
and 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 understanding, because I believe you don't know what you don't know.
That's right.
Last month was Autism Awareness Month. They did a talk. Two moms in the group wrote a book, and they're actually going to continue that conversation tomorrow in their book club. And they just shared their experiences. And a part of that, their kids are here, right? Everyone is here. It's not like keep the kids at home. We're here, parents, like even the children
Hmm.
come. But I think that do they gravitate towards the books in here? Of course they do, right? And they fall in love. They love the comics, they love the novels, they love all the things, right? And I
Oh,
think
okay, so
that,
you have comic books too?
oh yeah, we have comic books.
Okay, you have what's his name? Turtle Only. Are you familiar with him?
I'm not familiar with him.
Turtle Only. He has oh my goodness. He's done a lot of study about Greek mythology
Mm,
and black people, and he has all of these wonderful graphics. That's what's so really beautiful about it. So I have to connect you with him.
please, please.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, even down
The
to the
only place I've
comics.
seen his books is at Dusable Museum in their bookstore.
Oh, well, I
Haven't
need to
seen
get
him anywhere else.
connected with him. I need to get connected with him. But we do. We have graphic novels, comics, all the things. So yes. So when I say that this space is truly a community hub, that's what it is. So everything from families with children with different learning disabilities to connecting with different organizations and churches in the area, with the police, with the fire stations, with the hospitals. We're partners. We do a lot of work with Roseland Hospital, with WIC, with their families. And
Okay.
I mean, I believe one of the reasons I believe that bookstores are on a resurgence is because bookstores, especially Black bookstores, are
Mhm.
really community hubs.
There
They're
you
not
go.
just about the books. People don't just go to buy a book. Like when you
Hmm.
mentioned the book joint, I love Courtney and Berlin. They are really dear to me.
Absolutely,
But
absolutely.
people go there because it's a mom and daughter doing work together.
That's right.
And you got to know what that place feels like to be ran by a mom and a daughter, right? And
That's
so
right.
it's not just about coming and patronizing. It's not a transactional relationship.
Absolutely.
Folks come to my bookstore because they say, "Oh, it feels warm. It feels welcoming." You know,
It's a
same.
relationship.
It's a relationship, and
It's a
so
relationship.
I think our communities need more stores that are
Yeah,
hubs and not
that's
just
right.
about spending money. We do
That's
need
right.
you to spend money because it keeps us going, it keeps the
Mm-hmm.
circulation of the dollar. But people come in our bookstore sometimes just because they need to talk. And that's okay. And you didn't even buy anything today. But I'm so glad you stopped by. But I know next time you're gonna tell your friend, and y'all
That's
both
right.
gonna get something, right? It's not
That's
about
right.
the transaction. So I'm glad because they're in South Shore, we're in Roseland, we got West Town. You got all these different spaces where these bookstores, Hyde Park, we're calling Response. All these places are popping up because people are looking for community.
That's
And that's
right.
what I believe bookstores
That's right.
offer to spaces.
That's right. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
needs community.
Yep.
And we need community, and you are absolutely right. It's about creating relationships. I love going into businesses, and when I walk in the door, Miss Denise, they're
Exactly.
glad to see me, um and you feel special, you feel part of what they're doing, and you're
Mm-hmm.
happy that just
Yep.
patronizing them just comes with the package you
Yep.
know. And there's a restaurant, so vegetarian. When my daughter was little, we used to go in there and eat, and we would come in there and stay in there for hours,
For
you know,
hours.
for hours.
Yep,
Yep,
yep. I think
meeting and
all of
sitting with
the
friends.
Black bookstores that you talk to owners, I think we make a good state. We make a point to support each other and make sure that people understand that where people are. I mean, on all sides, all the bookstores, and I think it matters because again, it is more than just going to buy a book, right? Like
That's
I'm
right.
pretty sure if you talk about any of these Black store owners,
Hmm.
if you patronize them, people are going to talk about more than a book. They're going to talk about who they talked to, who they
That's
saw,
right.
the music they were playing, or whatever was going on. It's not just going to be about buying what I came to get. So, yeah, I really am grateful, and we need more,
That's
and
right.
I
That's right.
hope more continue to come.
I have a friend, I don't know if he's listening, but Larry Cherry. I remember Larry Cherry, he was doing mortgage loans and he used to say all the time, you don't work for money, you know. And people were like, what are you talking about? You know, you're doing all of this work, you want to make money. But as time went on and just having experiences in life, you understand what that means, you
Yep.
know, because the money is just a byproduct of.
It's a tool. Yep.
That's right. The
That's
work,
it.
the care that you put
Hmm.
into, because everything that you have is somebody else made it, somebody else put time in it to produce it. And so it's really it's all about the relationship. And I'm glad to hear that you're connected with the other bookstores because that
Oh
needs to
yeah.
be happening with all of our businesses and all of our industries. So that's a wonderful thing. So I want to get into some of the things that you are doing,
Okay.
and like it's very impressive. You have and family. We're talking to Jurema Gorham at Burst Into Books, which is located in the Roseland area, and this is more than a bookstore, as she stated. This is a community hub, and they have a lot to offer. And so one of the things I noticed here, you have bookstores, you have author talks, you got tutoring, you got artwork shops, you got community art spaces. So you one of the things that you may have already mentioned, but you have a children's story time.
Hmm.
So would you tell what that is and when that is?
Yes, so we host on Saturday mornings, what we call like a family morning story time. It starts normally at 10:30 a.m. every Saturday. You can check our website if there's any alterations with the time, because a lot of times I also have people who volunteer to be readers. So we have different educators or people in the community that read, but then we also bring in children's authors. So if you have a children's book, it's a way for more families to get introduced to your book. And in that time, it's not just reading of the book. We read the book, we do some singing, some interactive activities. It's for the entire family. So we make sure whatever is the enrichment activity that goes with it is leveled. So whether you have your preteen or your 3-year old, they'll all be able to do something. And then we always have like snacks and refreshments. And it's really a way to be able to show families ways you can interact with reading at home, because
Mhm.
reading does not have to be just a static just sit on the couch activity. When families come with their 3-year old and they're running around, I'm like, let them move. It's okay. He don't have to sit still. He's listening. He's still
Mhm.
interacting. They come back to the book. They come back and listen. And so it's also a way for parents to learn as well. And so I love it. I feel like it's a very community based program that
Mhm.
we started. And it's something that I look forward to continuing to do. And so, whenever someone, like if you introduce me to someone who's a children's book author, I let them know, like, yeah, we can have your book on consignment, but I would love for you to do a story time, because
Sure.
families need to not just see it on the shelf, they need to see the story behind it. You tell us why you wrote the book. It really allows people to see the full picture, and then they'll want to support, and then they'll tell others. And so, that's what we do on Saturday mornings.
Okay. And then you have a brush and bloom.
Yeah, so that's an upcoming workshop that we're hosting. So, as I spoke earlier, I was born and raised in Auburn Gresham, and so we do work
Mhm.
here in Roseland, but we also have a partnership with the UIC Community Neighborhood Center, which is 839 West 79th Street. And so every third Saturday we host a art workshop, and it rotates what the workshop is. So like last month we did theater, the month before that we did a creative writing workshop. And then this upcoming Saturday, she's doing a brush and bloom workshop. And then that workshop is going to be centered, because it's springtime. They're
Mhm.
actually going to be painting the pottery pots. And then they're also going to be learning about agriculture. So it's like a mixed media type workshop. And it's free to the community. We were able to get some funding through UIC to host that program. And so every third Saturday of the month, you will see a different workshop that'll be hosted either here at our shop or at that center.
So that sounds like something that children and adults can
Yes, yes.
partake
So
in.
this particular one is all ages. And then when we did the workshop last month, the theater one, it was leveled. Like we had a younger group and an older group. So we'll always have on there the age that it's geared towards. But this one that's coming up on the 17th of May is for all ages.
Okay. Okay. And then there's celebrating Chicago mothers who write.
Yes. So I am very excited about this event. So this is our Mother's Day event. It's going to be the Saturday after Mother's Day. But I think it's so important that we highlight important writers in our city and just having it very intergenerational. So we have three different women who will be honoring that night. We have Sylvia Ewan, we have Natalie Moore, and we also have Yvette Moyle. And each of them, if you are familiar with their work, is very instrumental in like Black storytelling in Chicago, whether it's through journalism or hosting
Mhm.
community events or being a poet themselves. And so we just wanted to honor them, be able to understand that mothers are very, very influential when it comes to like keeping our communities together.
That's
And so
right.
we'll be honoring them, allowing them to share some of their work, and then bringing in community. And then we'll also be using it as a fundraiser towards our festival that we host every July.
Oh, okay. And your festival, and when is that in July?
So July 26th will be our fourth annual. It's called the Words of Wonder Literary Festival. And we host it right at Gately Park at the Dr. Conrad Rural Track and Field. It's both an indoor and outdoor festival. So we have things
Okay.
happening inside and outside of the building. And it's a full day. It's from 11 to 6 p.m. And it's really, really great. Have we always fly in authors. We have local authors a part of it, but then we also highlight other organizations that we partner with to host that event. And so all of that's on our website. It's a really great, great family event. And again,
Mhm.
and I hope everyone's able to come out.
Okay. And then open mic.
Yes, so we host an open mic every fourth Friday of the month. It is held here at our store. It's been really beautiful because, again, and a lot of the programs, Denise, which people are like, oh, you all have a lot, but it also came from conversations with the community. So when we
Mhm.
first opened this space, we asked people, what do you see us hosting here? Like, what would
Mhm.
you want to see here? And repeatedly, people are like, "Oh, I could see an open mic here, a live music," or
Mhm.
they start. It feels like this type of space. And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So then we just started to talk to see like who would be interested, who would want to be a part of it, and so really like co-creating the space. So the open mic came from that. So it's every fourth Friday. We always have a feature artist, and it's open to the public. You can come, share your work. We may, depending on the size of the group, do like a writing exercise and workshop along with it. But we always host it from 7 to 10 on the fourth Friday of the month.
Okay. Do a lot of people come?
We do. We get a really
And
great
the full
turnout.
house?
Yeah. Yeah, we
Okay.
get a great turnout. And if we don't, right, and it's very organic, like sometimes if we have a smaller group, we will then still workshop. We'll still have opportunity for people to share, be able to give in the space. So
Okay. And then you have book signings.
we do. So I know you were speaking to me about someone who just released a book. So we have it that um, a lot of people who are either releasing their book on their own, or we also partner with publishing companies to host authors book signing. So if you wanted to host a book signing, we have a way where you can either rent out the space, because we have people that maybe want to have it private book signing, and then for those who
Mhm.
want it to be public, it's a partnership with us, and then you can come here. We've had like talks about the book before you do the book signing, or folks just want to do the book signing and have food and drinks. But yeah, we host children book signings all the way to adults, and we've hosted quite a few so far. And so definitely, if you are an author or
Mhm.
someone who was looking for a space, we would definitely welcome you to do your book signing here.
Yeah, there a lot of people are writing books now. I
They
notice more
are.
and more people
A
are writing.
lot of books coming out.
Mhm. Wow,
Yeah.
that is really nice. Let's see. There's the Reading Nook.
Yes.
Reading
So,
Nook.
yeah. So we are actually going to. This is a new initiative, and so we have the book clubs. But reading nook is like what happens when you just come together to read together, right? It's like a reading club. So, given I don't know if you're like me, I have so many books on my nightstand that I still have not been finished, right? But
Yes,
I'll
yes.
start it and leave it. It's like what if we just had a time where we just get together, read, and just talk about what we read. So, it's
Mhm.
something new that we're starting that people have gotten really excited about. We've seen other bookstores have done it. Got again working with other bookstores who's like, yeah, we've done this as well. You know, I think it would be great. So we're gonna do that. It's called the Reading Nook because if you come to our space, we have so many different corners and nooks where you can
Okay.
kind of curl up with a book.
Ah, okay,
Mhm.
okay. And then you have a Juneteenth celebration.
We are. So Juneteenth this year is on a Thursday. And so, as an organization, Burst into Books has partnered for the last 6 years, and we've done a partnership with a group of different organizations from the Morgan Park, Beverly area. So that'll be on June 14th. But on June 19th, here at the store, we're doing a family Juneteenth event where we'll actually do like what is the background and history for families. Because not everyone even knows what Juneteenth is about. We will have opportunities for families to kind of engage in activities and games, some storytelling around the holiday, and it's going to be during the day. So it's not the
Mhm.
full day because families may have other things they want to attend. It'll just be from like 1 to 4. But we're calling it like a family reunion. So everyone come together here at the store, food, music, storytelling, and then just really celebrating what Juneteenth means.
And that's another thing you mentioned, games. Um, Even though children like the computers and they like the technology, they like games.
They love games. They
And
love
those
games.
those board games, different types of games, because it's bringing them together. They're getting to interact with each other and not just a machine. And
Yeah.
I think that's very important. I'm a speech pathologist and
Mhm.
I work with children, and I know one of my concerns has been their pragmatic language skills. And it's one thing to have a conversation via texting, and saying, cutting off sentences and what have you, going on Facebook and communicating. And it's another thing for me to have to communicate to you face to face,
Mhm.
because there's much more dynamic there. And
Mhm.
you're more in real time, real space. So you don't have time to stop and think about what you're going to say. All has to happen right there. And those kind of skills are not developed when you're not interacting with each other.
And usually, like to your point, I'll just keep it short. Is that kids are on phones and tablets because it's nervous energy. They don't
Hmm.
necessarily know how to interact or how to do the games and things. So whenever we do have like a workshop or we do activities, like it's the tech is put away because there's no need for
Hmm.
it, right? We everything we need is gonna be here, and it's really just starting conversations. And before they know it, they don't even know that they have their phone or have their tablet
See?
because they're so enthralled in whatever activity they're doing. So I think again, it's not necessarily saying like why are they on this thing, but like why are they on it? Well, they're on it because they need to, like you said, and learn how to cultivate these relationships with someone I
Hmm.
didn't know or I haven't met before. So how do
Right.
I do that? Let's do it in this non-threatening way. Let's play this game. Let's play this charades game, right? Like all the different things that
Absolutely.
we think is simple, but for them it's like, oh, this is how we be in community with each other. So.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
And I also think it can help them to learn how to resolve conflicts better,
Yep.
you know, because you've had opportunities, because there's always different levels to a situation. You know, there's always these different levels, these little nuances that
Yep.
can just make a difference.
A
We
big
never
difference.
get a chance to experience that. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's the difference between us and robots.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, let's see. Keep going here. You have oh, you have an awesome parents book club.
Yeah, so that was the book club I was speaking to. That's for parents of children with
Parents and
autism.
children.
So they call
Okay.
themselves the Awesome Parents Book Club.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so yeah, so that's just the one we host every first Friday of the month, and they meet
Okay.
here from 6 to 8. And again, it's open. They pick a different book, and this is the cool thing: it's not centered around autism, right? Because I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the thing too. Like, are we coming to learn about autism? No, we're learning. We're coming to build community. So they're coming to become like have a break from it all,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So even next month, the book they're reading is called The House of Eve, right? It has nothing to do with autism. It's just about how to
Mm-hmm.
come together, have some food, something to eat, and just kind of have a safe space for our family. So I think that's what I love most about it, that it's not necessarily, and they have their moments where we're learning, we're growing, and we're networking. But then sometimes it's Friday night and let's just
That's
talk
right.
about whatever we got going on, right?
That's right. That's
So
right.
yeah.
That's right.
Hmm.
Okay. And then you also have an entrepreneurs book club.
We do. So
Now
that,
that sounds really interesting.
yeah, so doing this work, a lot of times when we are building organizations, trying to start businesses, it can feel lonely because a lot of people are solopreneurs. They're doing this work by themselves, and it's like, who can I talk to? Who can I build with? Who can I learn with? And
Mm-hmm.
so there's so many different like professional books and best practices, and again, that nightstand full of books. Like, what happens if we just come together and talk about what we all learned from it? So, the cool thing about the Entrepreneur Book Club, I do it in partnership with another organization called the Touch Gift Foundation. And what we do is we pick a book each month. We rotate who in the group leads the discussion. And
Mm-hmm.
then once a quarter, I'm sorry, we have a facilitator or someone comes in and does a workshop with us that is focused on a particular skill that businesses need. So we had someone come in who's with marketing and branding, and they just gave us some strategies and things to do. The one we're
Okay.
doing next month, the facilitator is really big about financial literacy and helping us when it comes to building capital for our businesses. And then we'll do a book in which we're called like Atomic Habits. It's just teaching us how to do best practices and better habits. So that meets every third Friday of the month. We have a meal together, we read together, and it's been really beautiful because a lot of people may not be in the same industry, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't feel alone trying to build what you're trying to build, right? And accountability is huge too. So this group has become really accountability for a lot of folks.
Okay. That sounds awesome to get the businesses
And it's all
together.
ages, all
All
industries. So I
ages.
love that as part as well. So it's not just, like just starting. We have people who've had businesses for a number of years, just starting their business. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's really just like good conversation. Girl, I've been through that. Don't worry. Or, ooh, what is happening? And then we're able to talk about it, or, whatever is going on. We're able to kind of be that sounding board for each other.
Okay. And speaking of businesses, you also um, have been well sought after in terms of helping people who have nonprofit
I do.
organizations.
So when I started my nonprofit, I didn't really have guidance in doing it. I just knew that as I was doing the work, if we became a nonprofit, different opportunities and things that I just started to learn about. But then when you realize a lot of times we just want to do good work, you don't realize like this is a business, right? Like a nonprofit is a business. And so there were just
Hmm.
so many components that I didn't know. And I had to learn either through trial and error or going to trainers or talking to folks. And so once I got to a place where everyone knows that I'm a teacher at heart and I'm a giver. I'm a connect whoever. And so when people were starting businesses, they will call me like, Jurema, my friend's about to start a business. Can you talk to them? Or my cousin wants a nonprofit. Can you tell them how to start? And I had no problem
Hmm.
doing that. But what actually happened? Well, people were like, oh, that's great. Can you help me do it? Right? Like we're talking, but can you actually help me do it? And so that's what helped me actually start my nonprofit, because I wanted to be what I didn't have when I started. And so I help everyone from creating your idea and actually formulating your business, from how do you create events and programs to evaluations to actually filing your 501c3. If folks need support with board, and like how do you build your board, how do you select your board, and then everything from just like, hey, let's just look at what my goals are financially. And I don't do grant writing. However, I equip people with the things you need to have in order to be ready for funding and ready for these different things. And so just helping people with like the back systems of how these things work. And so I love it. It's something that, I just believe that we don't have to keep reinventing wheels. I think in
Right.
our community, when it comes to doing work, it's like competition. Like, what are we competing for?
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
like if I
Mm-hmm.
got it and you don't, I don't live in a scarcity mindset. I don't believe me helping you is making me miss out, right? Like if I help
Right.
you, what's for me is for me, and what's for you is for you. And so I think that we have to do better in pulling each other up with us.
Sure.
And if
Sure.
I learn something, sharing it, and
Mm-hmm.
not be so threatened that if someone else is equipped, that's going to take something away from me. So,
That's right.
so that was the purpose of the work that I do. I just really want to see us win. And I believe if we invest in one
Mm-hmm.
another, me investing in you is going to help the next person. So why not?
Okay. So to get this support, do you do consultations or you
I
have
do.
classes?
Yeah, I
You
have
do consultations.
consultations that I do. So if you go to JuremaGorham.com,
Okay.
you can do a discovery call. I do workshops. Currently, I've just been primarily like working one-on-one and doing coaching, but I am going to start coming the summer, fall, doing some more like workshops geared about different topics.
Okay. Okay. And let me see. One other thing here. Two more things. You have a summer program, Burst
Mhm.
into Literacy for the summer.
Yeah, so that
You've done with
program
that.
is another thing that formed from just like a community conversation. Denise, I went live one day because I don't know if you saw it. It was this graphic circulating, and people were so shocked that there were high schoolers reading on like fourth grade level, fifth grade level, and like,
Hmm.
it was like, how is that possible? And all this conversation. And I'm one of those people that, okay, we gonna talk just for so long. So after we done talking, what are we gonna do? So me being in education, I'm not shocked because even before that graphic came out, I taught freshmen, I taught middle school, and so I had many of kids who came to me way below level, right? But I also understand what happens when you're intentional and you are very targeted in the way you help a child, and they can overcome those things, right? But they need access and support. So I just went live one day and was just like, look, I may not have all the money, I may not have all of the resources, but I know some really great educators, and I know that if we put our heads together,
Absolutely.
we may not be able to solve all the things in CPS, but
Mm-hmm.
what we can do is what we can do. And
That's right.
so, who wants to come along with me? I have a space. I didn't go to school as a reading specialist, but I know reading specialists. So
Okay.
any reading specialists want to jump on this and be involved and want to do this work with me? Let's do it, right? And so
Okay.
that's how it started. I had reading specialists and teachers who joined, and then that idea has now formed into a 6-week summer program.
Wow. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. Then you're renting spaces for people, right? If someone wants to have an event.
If someone wants to have an event, if you go to our website, bibarts.org, there
Mm-hmm.
is a event rental tab, and you can go ahead and just like submit to us what your ideas, what is it that you need it for, and then we'll come back to you to just like talk more about how we can support it.
Okay.
Sometimes depending on the day of the week, depends on the price, because we do have like different parts of our space. My
Mm-hmm.
mother is also an amazing chef. And
Oh,
so
wow.
sometimes if people need food or catering, we can offer that. We just try to do as much as possible to support the event. So doing that event rental form allows us to know what type of support we can give you as a space.
So if someone was looking for a space, I think I saw where you could maybe host up to 50 people.
Mm-hmm.
In a particular
Inside of
place?
our space, we can do
Mhm.
50, but then we also have a outdoor backyard that could be
Mhm.
utilized as well. So just again, when we talk to people and they want to rent it, we'll invite them to come and see it because things could be moved, things could be altered, and then they're
Mhm.
able to see like what's the best setup for their event.
Okay. Okay. Wow. You got the perfect name. Burst into
I know
books.
we bursting at the seams.
Because I'm
We
just
bursting at the seams over here, Denise.
you are just you are just bursting. You right, you bursting at the seams. You're doing so many things and you're doing so many wonderful things.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to be talking to you
Let's
because
do
I would like to
it.
support a lot of what you are doing, and I really love the work that you are doing. You really appreciate it. I want you to know that,
Thank
and
you.
I'm very impressed with all of the work that you're doing. So, Jurema, this is Jurema Gorham from Burst Into Books, um, and they're located at 119 East 107th Street.
Yes.
The website is www.bibarts.org. They're open from Tuesday through Friday, 11 to 6, and Saturday, 10 to 5. Would you like to have a closing remark?
Um, I just want to say thank you for this platform because it's needed, and I believe that that is how we're able to heal and build our relationships in our community is by us just knowing what's there. So many times families are looking for particular resources. You don't even know it's in your neighborhood. And
That's
so
right.
this platform matters because I don't know how else that some of us will be able to get the word out about the work that we do. So I just wanted to say thank you for following up and reaching out to
Absolutely.
me. And again, the support is reciprocal. So if there's anything that I could do, just let me know as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Jurema, I want to thank you. And family, remember, go to rrgbc.org and subscribe, or you can become the winner for our book of the month. And we want to invite Burst Into Books to be our bookstore for next month. And so we'll talk to you about a book that you want to select that we will make a part of our book giveaway.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Okay. So, family, remember, support Black businesses. It's very important. And then, as we talk tonight, we understand it's all about creating relationships. We need to come together. So, I want to thank you for coming and have a good night.
You as well. Good night.